Okay, so one of the backgrounds for using minimum business increments is the idea we want to go to small. We want to go small, build small things in a sequence. And one of the fundamentals of these is why do we want to build in vertical slices of functionality? So what we're going to learn in this session is we want to get feedback as soon as possible. We've talked about this in the Agile GPS and the first principles. Delays in feedback cause a lot of weight. So part of our focus is how do we get feedback quickly? We want to build in small pieces. It's not just releases. It's actually everything. This means, stories, features, everything we can do. We want to be able to get it done quickly. And this is important. So delayed feedback, like a big batch, slows integration. Teams organized around layers has this happen. So let's take a look at this. Like, this is kind of old school, and I'm not sure how much people still do this, but they do it to some extent. And I guess Scrummerfall kind of does this when people do Scrumming correctly. But like you might build a database layer and then put the enterprise business layer on top of that, then maybe an application business layer on top of that, and then the UI. And the problem is, of course, you're getting feedback from the customer extremely late. Not to mention that you're really not getting any kind of all the way throughput. You might be able to build it this way without any real dependency management as a problem. But business logic, business layers could be really bad. Especially there's this tendency when you build like this, you often do this because you've done a full analysis, and then people start trusting the analysis, even though that's kind of insane. Insane in the sense doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. When you build layers like this, you're going to learn as you go. In fact, like after the database is built and then the enterprise business layer starts doing something, you're likely to discover, oh, I forgot about this. But the DBA people may have kind of assumed these changes weren't going to happen. That's a bad thing. I'm not going to go into technical things now, but I used to be a really solid programmer, and one of the things I started doing toward the end of my programming, I started in 1970. By the mid 90s, I realized what was important is not anticipating change, but making code changeable. Kind of the same thing with process. We want to be able to change as we go. So what we have here is building like this is just a disaster because you get delays in feedback, but sometimes the layers complain they can't do something until the other layers are done. In other words, the database people say, well, we need to know what to do. We don't know how to build a database. You got to tell us what we need. And the enterprise business layer will, well, gee, what does the application business layer need? The ABL, what's the UI? What's coming to us? In the UI, everybody's waiting for everybody else. And this is causing problems. So thinking about it as a whole is problematic to begin with. So what we want is to build demonstrable function. This is called the vertical slice. If you're not familiar with the term vertical slice, it means end to end. It's just because if you look at the layers, then it's how do we cut all the layers, cut something across all the layers. So we want quick feedback. Teams don't block each other. Stop when we have enough functionality. Organized by cross-functional teams to achieve this. That's one way of doing it. If you have multiple teams, but they each do thin slices together, that could work as well. So it's got to be thin slices, easier to be done with a cross-functional team. Can be done across teams if everybody knows what the slice is. So like I'll do a slice across the whole thing. I'll integrate, get my feedback, another slice. This eliminates waste. And at some point, I could say, this is enough. I can stop at this point. I've got enough done. So I don't build a whole system I'd anticipated. I avoid building extra stuff because I stop when there's enough. Now, this is one way of doing it, but notice this building up from the bottom may not give us the best chunk of value because we don't take the whole picture. But this is what vertical slicing means. So I presenting it, there's actually a better way to do this, which I'm going to go into with the MBI slides, but I did want to present this. Okay. Stop when you have enough, when you could release. Then you could keep going if there's more value, or maybe you want to put your money somewhere else. That's another thing. This, by the way, is the responsibility, in my mind, one of the responsibilities of a coach is to say, hey, do you really want to keep going, or do you want to put the capacity of this team to something else that's of more value? Sometimes customers that are driving you kind of, oh yeah, give me more, and they forget there's something else in the product that might be useful. So you got to kind of manage that. So in review is a simple thing, build in small pieces. Feedback must be from the customer. We get that quick, or the stakeholder, whoever this is for. We need to build in small end-to-end vertical slices to do this. And we can stop adding slices once we've gotten sufficient value. This is what we mean by building in vertical slices.